Last time we were working on my Volkswagen Up for the GTI Conversion, we're actually pretty disappointed because we were hoping to turn the key and get it started, but it turned out there was too many fault codes and a bunch of things that were missing that we had to get from Germany. One of those things has arrived. This magical tiny little switch is pretty much the only thing standing between us and that turbocharged Up actually working. Well, actually, and what's in this box and what's in that box. Today, we're going to plug them in, turn the key, and hopefully get it started for the first time. Welcome to another episode of Mighty Car Mods. I'm here with my friend Miles, who I now call Obi Vag Kenobi, because Vag, of course, is the Volkswagen Audi group. He's the Vag commander, and he managed to get me some of these parts from the Vag group. Can you explain, first of all, in my industry of music, this is called a Hall effect. I would normally associate that with reverb. That's not reverb, it's a switch.
It's a switch.
And it switches around.
Yes.
And senses things.
Yes.
Thank you. Can you hold that?
Sure.
Tell me about what we've got in here and here.
Okay, so this little box, that is your fuel pump module. That was what was missing from that connector on top of the fuel tank.
Yes.
That wasn't given to us before, but now we have one. So but whatever black magic goes on in here, essentially it's just a voltage divider, sender, probably capacitor, some sort of thing in there.
So that was because we had a bit of a mystery cable that we didn't know where it went, because in the normal Up there was just one cable. The Up GTI has got two cables coming up because that needs to do the fuel start stop. And then the big one, this here, when we tried to start the car, it said depress the clutch. We tried to depress the clutch wouldn't depress. So that there is a clutch master cylinder.
Yep.
And our Hall effect sensor, watch this, and then it goes that way. So when it's in, it'll think the clutch is in. So switch is on, plug that in, make sure that's in, plug that in.
Hopefully it makes noise.
What is the difference between this clutch master cylinder and the one that's in there currently?
So the casing is physically the same, but this one has a magnet inside it,
okay,
and that one doesn't.
Right.
So this little Hall effect sensor actually clips into that.
What are you doing, Martin? Oh, Martin's trying to install a Haltech in there.
You guys are fighting for this so hard. Like, why don't we just engine swap it and pull all the
I've already engine swapped.
Pull all the vag out and just put something else in.
Can we get back to talking about this, please?
I'll put your seat.
Martin, your RX-7's right there. Why don't you go and do rotary things? It's broken, of course. That'll keep you busy for a while. Sorry, Miles.
It's all right.
Back to where were you at?
So that's got a
physically the same.
Physically the same. That's got a magnet in there.
Yep.
The Hall effect sensor senses magnetic travel.
Yep.
So when this is installed into that, as it moves in and out, it will see that move in and out. So
okay,
the difference between this one and the one that's in the car is that the Up GTI that you had has start-stop in it.
Yep.
And the way it works is the moment you touch the clutch pedal, it can see a travel change.
Right.
Where that switch can only see it when it's fully depressed in. So it takes slightly longer to start, makes the experience of start-stop a little bit less
So this fuel pump control module also is for start and stop, because mine obviously didn't have start and stop before.
Yeah.
So that is why that is
that one
plugged in
and
also.
the one under the passenger seat.
Okay, cool.
Works in combination.
Let's plug all the bits in. Let's see what happens.
One of the challenges of doing a build like this that nobody else is doing is that there's not a lot of information or resources out there, and also each of the parts that we need as we discover that we need them have to come from Germany.
Our fuel module's been plugged in. Our new clutch master cylinder's been plugged in. So now it should, Miles, if I pull this out and I turn this, the screen should say Volkswagen, great. Some other German things on it. Now if I try and start it, it'll say Keplang Delenken. It's all German, so I don't know what it's saying on there. Oh!
Yeah!
Yeah!
Oh, listen to the cat warm-up program.
It starts! It starts! Holy shit! All right, well, doesn't mean it works, but it starts.
It starts.
So the car starts, and this is a monumental moment of the build. The 1-litre GTI engine and 6-speed gearbox is now running in an Australian-delivered Volkswagen Up, which is a world first. But our dash has more lights than a Christmas tree, and one of those lights says that there's no ABS. The UK loom that I got doesn't have plugs for the ABS sensors, but I've kept my local loom so that I can scavenge any parts that I need from it. Making sure I get the lengths correct, I can solder my Australian plugs onto the UK loom, and this will be one error that we can clear. Meanwhile, Miles is swapping in the clutch master cylinder that we just got from Germany.
So these are the two different clutch cylinders. This one, the part number ends in 388A, and this one ends in 388H. So on Volkswagen parts, the last letter on the part number dictates its revision. So A, B, C, D, E, F, G. So this is 5, 6 revisions newer than this thing.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Vag Commander.
That's what I'm here for.
Just commanding it. Just getting it done.
And much like all Vag parts as we saw before, all of the bits, all of these little like inserts and stuff don't come on the cylinder, so you have to swap all of this over from here to here.
There's a few reasons why people don't do builds like this. Firstly, you don't need to if you live in a country where turbo options are available from the factory, but also it's just incredibly expensive and time consuming. I originally thought I'd be doing this project basically by myself in just a couple of days, but it's ended up being months of work and almost 2 years since I first started buying parts for this project. I've also needed expert help from people like Miles, as well as getting tips all the way from up the chain from people who actually work at Volkswagen as techs, and they've been helping us out over the phone.
Okay, so managed to get the aircon working, which is awesome, because we were worried we were going to have to make custom lines or somehow use the original up lines. The reason is the heater box itself is different. So even though the lines fit the front of the car, because the front of the car is up GTI, the heater box isn't, so we're adapting into the heater box. Luckily with aircon, it's kind of a dumb system. As long as it's got the gas that it wants and the sensors are working, got a high pressure and a low pressure, it kind of just works. So all I did was sort of bend and modify the connections at the heater box in the engine bay to make them fit, because there's a giant turbo actuator in the way, which is an excellent problem to have.
So this here is the new steering column, and attached to that is our GTI key barrel. Now, what is actually holding this in place is a couple of shear bolts, and we've spoken about these in the past. It's basically a safety bolt that is designed to be tightened up and then the top shears off. All good and well once it's in there, but we don't actually have a way of tightening that up properly. So I am going to replace those just with some kind of normal hex head bolts. I'm not sure how much clearance we get at the top, so I'll keep my eye on those. So we can connect that up. And then the rest of this inside, I know it doesn't look like it, but this is significant progress. I don't know why our cluster's in German now, but that's also something that we can work out with. Miles has got some Vag commanding tools that he can insert and then download and affect some data, so we'll put that in there soon. And other than that, just keep plugging away with the interior.
If you're scratching your head thinking that modifying a car like this doesn't really make sense, I'd have to agree with you on a purely utilitarian viewpoint. You could spend the money on something else, but I'd also argue that only doing things because they make sense is probably a fairly limiting way of looking at the world and a fairly limiting way of fueling your enthusiasm for anything. Art doesn't always make sense, it doesn't need a deeper meaning. Sometimes it just is, and I'm not saying that this Volkswagen Up is a piece of art, it's not a Mona Lisa or a Van Gogh, but it will be a cargo. See what I did there? And it'll be a boosty boy and it'll make turbo noises, and that is enough for me.
A massive thanks to Miltech, who have sent an exhaust for the Up GTI. It's made in England. They are awesome exhausts. We've run them on lots of our badge cars before, Golfs, Audis, stuff like that. So as long as the floor pan hasn't changed during some midlife update or something like that, it should all work, because this car is a 2012 model, but GTI is a 2018 model. So hopefully it all works. So we're just going to kind of loosely assemble it the same way you would with installing any aftermarket exhaust, and make sure it fits. And if it's all good, then we can leave that and get on to finishing off the front.
Installing a performance exhaust now is a good measure to future-proof the car for any other performance upgrades that I may decide to do. Depending on your kind of car, an exhaust like this can give you massive gains, particularly when upgrading the dump pipe on a turbocharged car, which is why a turbo back exhaust, if you can do it, is always going to be the best option. As usual with these Miltech systems, the fitment is excellent, but we will need to modify the rear bar because the GTI usually has an accommodation for the rear pipe and the Australian delivered Ups don't.
I'm using a flappy whizzer wheel on a Ryobi die grinder to get the new cutout for the exhaust the right shape. That's looking mad, so my next job is to smash in some gearbox oil. This often requires a funnel and hose if you're going to gravity fill it from the top, but it's very straightforward. There's a few more holes to be drilled to hold stuff from the GTI Up that our base model Up never had, but we are getting close.
Managed to get a bolt
from Mr. VTEC into the up.
Blessed by the spirit of Mr. VTEC, now we can finish off installing all the little bits and pieces in the engine bay and plugging everything in. We can also install the battery and fill up the cooling system with coolant so that we can check it for leaks. I am getting ridiculously excited that this mammoth project is getting closer to completion, even if most things still don't work properly.
Well, the window goes down. That's one thing that works.
With most things now connected, we can plug in the laptop and do another scan searching for error codes and see if we can clear them.
All right, Miles, so what have we found out after doing a scan?
So every module that's in the car is happy with how it is in the car. So it's,
Even the ABS?
ABS is fine, all the wheel speed sensors work. The only thing that's, we haven't done the calibration for the steering wheel yet for the electric power assist.
Yep.
O2 is definitely going to be pissed off, right?
O2 sensors don't work because we don't have those yet.
We're doing a final scan, we'll remove any error codes that are left and top up the oil ready to turn the key.
We've cleared all the codes. We've set the little cluster back to English again. So now we've got coolant, we've got oil. It's time to turn the key. Depress clutch to start. Here we go. That's amazing.
He's a happy boy.
It actually works. I'm shocked just because it's like I bit off so much more than I can chew. But thanks to Martin and you, Miles, the Volkswagen Commander, we got a running, working car. It was amazing. Thank you also so much to Statler, the original wreckers that sent this over, to Chris from Trent, who was another wrecker that sent things over, Todd and Volkswagen Australia, and your mate as well needs a shout out as well.
Jamie.
Thank you very much. Thank you also. We still got a bit to do. I'm just thanking everyone like it's an Oscars speech. I know everybody's all about world first and all that kind of stuff, but I'd like to acknowledge that in a very little, cool, kind of small way, this is the first up GTI to ever run in Australia.
It is.
Ever.
It is.
We turned the key, it works, it runs, 1 litre, OEM, up GTI, running on Australian shores.
Around a week ago, I got a phone call from this gentleman after we'd been working on the up and we were just not winning. He's like, man, I'm just at that point, like, do I push it off a cliff? Do I K-swap it? Like, what other rubbish idea? And I'm just like, man, it's going to work. And here it is. It's
Sometimes
working.
I lose the faith, and that's why I embarked on this as like a personal project of like, you know, I see Marty do all sorts of clever things and Miles and all the people doing all sorts of clever things. I was like, I want to do it as well. I thought I would just be swapping an engine, plugging some stuff in and off we go, but it has resulted in and is still one of the biggest projects we've ever done on the show.
Yep.
I actually do want to say thanks to friends for helping out because there's been a lot of help. There's just been lots of people that have like popped in to kind of have a look and help out, and I really appreciate it.
To help make it happen.
It's cool.
It sounds awesome. Makes whooshy noises. It sounds really good. A few little custom things that we had to do specifically for our particular up, which is Australian delivered, and the GTI stuff, which is not. So, but the customization is not much. Airline fiddling, the battery sits in the kind of wrong spot. Some of these lines don't really work, but it works.
What do these things do? We don't know. I might post up on our socials what the like part numbers are of these and where they mount. Also, do you have an up GTI? Because one thing that I cannot work out is where the ECU sits. So I've got this that has nicely been labelled as engine ECU holder. Currently the ECU is...
Wi-Fi.
Where's the ECU gone?
There.
Oh, it's down there. So
around.
currently it's just sitting there. If you've got an up GTI, could someone give us a video or a photo or something and just show us how that's meant to work? And what are these? We think they're sound actors, but maybe they're alarm things.
It runs, the exhaust sounds amazing. 3-banger with a turbo is pretty cool.
So good. 3 cylinders great, 5 cylinders great, odd cylinders all the way.
Yep.
Thank you, Martin. There's a lot to do, but I'm high-fiving you because thank you. Thank you, Miles. Thank you very much. And thank you to everybody who's been watching at home. We appreciate it. To celebrate the starting of the up, I'm going to feed Marty some ice cream. And I'm going to I'm going to aim. Don't move. You moved last time.
No, you're going too high.
No, I'm not. Stay still.
It's
Stay
pounding
still.
on my face.
Stay still. Don't make me
I'm
stand
gonna
on you.
punch you in the balls if you
just stay still.
This is going to punch you in the
Yeah,
balls if you don't
stay
aim
still.
right.
I'm aiming right. Oh, dude, you moved.
I did. You're
moved.
aiming for my
I
eyes.
did it. It fell off the spoon the wrong way. No, just Martin, try one more time. You're wasting the internet. No, you're wasting the internet. Just get down there.
No, I don't want to.
Here, come on, mate.
I'll do you.
Okay.
I'll do you. Here you go.
All right. This is how we. Now, I wouldn't waste it on you.
Ready?
All right. Okay.
Ready? No, the aim's good. The aim's good. Yes! Success! I can't high five you because I have a handful of ice cream.
Do you want it done?
No, thanks, man. I'm good. Bye.